Hello Summoners, welcome back to another League of Legends video. My name is Nathan Ng, and today I'll be talking about the 9 mistakes that every League player makes. Hopefully our advice will help you avoid some easy losses. Before we get started, our question of the day is, what is the worst play that you've ever seen a teammate make? I can't help but to laugh every time I see my Thresh flash, and then flay nothing and then, well, follow up with a missed hook. Okay, so let's go ahead and start talking about where players go wrong on their journey to higher elo. These 9 mistakes aren't only related to your gameplay. There's a bunch of factors that play a key role in your success on the Rift. Our goal is to help you stop making these mistakes, so I'll be giving you the best explanation I can in a short amount of time. The first major mistake that League players make has nothing to do with the Rift at all. So many players struggle to climb because they can't decide on their champion pool. If you've ever seen someone like Doublelift or LS look at a player's OP.GG, the first thing they look at is their champion pool. The worst thing that you can do is try to play champions that you aren't familiar with in ranked. It's even worse if you try to play multiple roles and champions. If you really want to climb, you need to decide on one role and 2 to 3 champions that you want to invest in. When you spend a lot of time playing a champion, your experience and ability to play that champ can win you a ton of games all the way up until Diamond. If you want to play a popular champion that gets picked or banned often, like Yasuo, then you'll need another champion to play. Good players often balance their champ pool around matchups. Say you main Yasuo. If the enemy picks him, you'll pick your secondary champion, somebody that counters him, such as Annie. You'll have a strong laning phase since the matchup is difficult for Yasuo. That's a win-win, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and start talking about gameplay on the Rift. Something I always see players doing wrong is when they're forced to play on the weak side. Playing weak side means that you shouldn't be looking to make any plays. Sometimes you have to give up CS or even leave your turret and then recall. Weak side primarily applies to the top and bot side of the map and almost always involves where your jungler is. And in some instances, the weak side is your mid lane, because they just suck. When you see your team is making a huge play on the bot side, as a top laner, you need to do your best and not give the opponent any option to make a play. So many players try to fight their opponent anyway, and then get surprised when they're ganked. This happens literally everywhere, even from Iron all the way up to LCS. Using the previous example, if your team is 4-manning bot and you see the enemy team also 4-manning bot, you aren't playing weak side anymore. You're safe to fight or do whatever that you were planning to. Playing weak side means that you only throw out whatever plan that you had and then play passively for a little bit. The next common mistake is not properly playing around your team. I want to clarify that playing around your team does not only mean grouping up for team fights. So how do I play around my team? There isn't an easy answer since every game is so different. Even if you have the same 10 champions in every single game, you have to play differently in every single game. The easiest way to play around your team is to understand your own role in that game. If you're a split pusher like Fiora, you want to spend most of your time split pushing. But what happens if your team doesn't win the 4v4 team fight? Even worse, what if they can't win 4v3? This is when your adaptability and quick thinking comes to play. Just because you're a powerful split pusher does not mean that you don't really group up with your teammates. If you're the only one who did well in the laning phase, then you'll need to help your team get a little bit stronger. After getting them back into the game, you can go back to split pushing your way to victory. A big mistake that players make, especially in the lower ranks, is focusing too much on your lane. You should never tunnel in on just your lane. There are just way too many factors like the junglers and enemy laners that affect your gameplay. Once you get comfortable with your champion and lane, the next step is to learn how to watch the map at the same time. Every role needs to do this. If you're a jungler, you should be paying extra attention to every single lane. If you ever watch Faker's stream, you'll see how often he looks at his teammates. While most players will never reach that level of efficiency, that doesn't mean that you can't try. You don't always need to use the F keys like he does, but take a peek around the map. Your first goal should be paying attention to both junglers so you can help if needed. When you're in a losing matchup, the most important thing to keep in mind is how you're able to affect the game. If you're a top laner, TPing into your bot lane and then getting a double kill is way better than suffering through a tough lane. As a mid laner, roaming after clearing the wave is also a good idea, and do your best to find advantage on other lanes, not just yours. Speaking of laning, overstaying is the most common cause of death in the early game. In the mid to late game, overstaying can ruin recall timers and then make contesting objectives impossible for your teammates. The funny thing about overstaying is that most players know when they're doing it. You think, well, there's no way I'll die for pushing in this wave. The next thing you know, you're dead. When you're low on resources and just want to fight, you need to instantly decide what to do with the wave. If you're freezing it, recall. Otherwise, push in the wave and back. Don't get caught greeting for an extra 100 gold. If you have to overextend to finish an item, the death isn't worth it. As the game progresses, you need to be aware of what your recall will do to your team. You can't just recall whenever you feel like it. Timing and planning will make sure that you're not at a disadvantage. So pay attention to the objective timers and your team. If you see that your team is trying to make a play, don't recall without saying anything. Ping them back if you have a bunch of gold or you just don't want to fight in that very instance. The next major mistake that we'll be talking about are items and runes. Riot does their best to recommend the right items to buy, but they don't always have the correct options. Builds won't completely destroy your game, but they play a critical role in success and can make it way easier. There's no reason not to invest in your understanding of the champ pool's item variations. If you're struggling with items and runes, we're always releasing videos to help you make the right choices. We also offer professional coaches sessions over at ProGuides.com where you can ask any questions that you may have. They'll help you with any mistakes that you're struggling on, and with some help, you'll be on your way to the elo of your dreams. Major objectives decide the whole game, but shot calling is no easy task. Everyone struggles with objectives, especially Baron. There's a delicate balance between forcing Baron and baiting it. Most late games are decided at Baron. When the game feels like it's slowing down, you should never try to force Baron or Dragon without proper preparation. Vision, positioning, and game state are essential to your success. When you're planning to do an objective, everyone on your team needs to buy a pink ward and help the team set up vision. Don't make your support face check a bush on their own and help them out. Positioning for an objective ties in heavily to what your team wants to do with it. The best time to try and burn down Baron is if your team does it very quickly and you know you have enough time to do it. Generally, it is always better to secure a kill before you do Baron. This will make securing it way easier. Focus on baiting Baron by autoing a few times and then stopping. Make the enemy team use their wards or face check into you. You'll have the upper hand if you're the one who can call the shots. We've talked about deciding the champ pool and knowing your runes, but your champion matchups are just as important. You want to be able to experience as many matchups as possible, learning with every game. This will help you understand how to win lanes effectively or lose lanes gracefully. The bottom line is that you won't be able to win every single matchup. Even the best champions in the meta have obscure counters. And fun fact, we also have videos that talk about how to deal with these meta picks, so make sure you stay tuned. Sometimes you'll just hate playing against Zed, and that's okay. What matters most is that you figure out what the best way to play is. Should you clear the way fast and try to roam early? Do you focus on harassing and outplaying your opponent? Every champion has options. The thing about matchups is that they translate to outside of the lane as well. When you know how a champion plays, you can start to play around them in teamfights too. This is why we heavily suggest that you pick a small number of champions to play. If you know everything about your own tools, you'll be prepared to handle any champ. The final mistake we see players make is more of a mindset clash. When you're playing ranked, it should be one of your top priorities to climb the ladder. Ranked is a place to grow and learn, and if you're watching this video, it's probably what you're looking to do. You shouldn't be playing just to play, you should try to play and grow. Thinking about your match after you played it is a good way to analyze the game on your own. You don't need an in-depth VOD review or anything, but we do have that offered on our website, just saying. But look at things like if you stomped your lane, why did it go well? Did your jungler camp your lane, or did you just get some crazy outplays? Understanding how you lost the game is even more important. If you're having trouble figuring out what went wrong, another pair of eyes can really help you out, whether that be us, your friends, or just take a break and then come back to the VOD. That wraps up the 9 mistakes that we see every League player make. We hope that we've helped you figure out how to tackle these common problems. If you want more help in League, feel free to subscribe to our channel. We're always releasing useful guides that'll up your game. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.